This is Thorin for On Gamers, and I'm here to do an overview video for my article I just wrote. It's a column piece actually in my series Thorin's Crucible, which is kind of my column of my thoughts on things that are topical, things that I think are important things to be talking about now, just my opinions, but articulated and expanded upon at whatever length I feel necessary, which for me is usually quite long. Okay, so the topic I'm talking about today is, I called it like the Fifflaren question, and it's not just the question of, is Fifflaren the player who should be in or removed from NIP? It's actually the question behind that, which has now become more important it seems, which is he even allowed? Is it legitimate to even question whether Fifflaren should be in NIP? Because obviously when they were winning everything, people could be like, well, that's stupid, why would you even say that? And then after that, NIP was still always placing highly. So my article kind of looks at the fact that there's been this kind of ground swelling that kind of turned against the people who said Fifflaren sucked and should be cut. And now it feels like people attack anyone who says he's even an inferior player, or even suggests that he for any reason could be removed from the team and replaced with someone else, as if this is a stupid notion and they don't know anything about the game, and the people who do have some secret knowledge. So that's kind of what the article gets into. And obviously in this video, like, I haven't got time, and also I've written out, and I'm a lot better writer than I am a talker, so I'd say read the article if you actually want to know all that. But the overview video, I want to make it have some merit of its own. So what I'm going to do in the overview instead is I'm going to start out and I'm going to tell you, who is Fifflaren? Let's have a little bit of a background on this guy, so you can maybe go and read the article afterwards. Say you're a new fan, or you've only watched the game a bit, or maybe you don't understand the roles people play in the game. So Fifflaren's a former Source player. Obviously Get Right, Exist and Forest all come from 1.6, that's their background. But Freeburg and Fifflaren both come from Source. They played back in the days of CGS, which was back in 2007. In the European equivalent over here, we only had a couple of teams there. It wasn't like the full American league, but okay, they were playing Source around here. They weren't necessarily considered top players. In fact, they weren't really. They were just good players. Obviously, here's another factor to notice, is that they both knew each other back then, as well as playing on similar teams. Like, crucially, they also went and worked in Ireland. I'm not sure whether it was Dublin, and they were like, I think they were like roommates or something, and they're both in Sweden, so they both have a close connection that goes back years and years. Beyond that, I'm always told that Forrest is the one that Fifflaren's really good friends with now, so he has another connection there. And obviously he's been in NIP, the NIP lineup, from the beginning, which was August of 2012 is when it was formed, just over 2 years ago. They celebrated their birthday not so long ago. So okay, in the early days of CSGO, this guy was the in-game leader, actually, believe it or not, at the beginning of NIP. Then Exist took over that role, and then that's actually when most of the success happened, and we all remember them dominating and being on top. Interestingly enough, he had another period where he was the in-game leader, the tactician, the strategy master, which was actually like sometime after DreamHack Winter. I seem to remember when they played those Swedish lands afterwards, like the Swede Cup. That was when they were messing around with like Get Right being the in-game leader, and then in the early part of next year, they had Fifflaren be the in-game leader, and it actually seemed like Fifflaren actually seemed to play a bit better when he was the in-game leader. I'm not sure if it's because he had more of a say over where he positioned himself or what he got to do within the strategy. But actually, I think it worked out better that they took him off being the in-game leader, because most of the success, nearly all the success, came when Exist was the in-game leader. And more crucially, it felt like Exist played significantly better himself, and does, when he's the in-game leader. And so if Fifflaren plays worse, I don't think that's as much of a big deal. I think it's better to have Exist in positions where he knows what he's doing and he have more impact in the game himself. Okay, so that's who Fifflaren is. Now, another way I thought to give this video its own unique flavor compared to the article is, in the article, I'm talking general concepts, and I'm talking historical things about the game and support players, and then I'm examining questions of like, how do we think about Fifflaren this way? So instead, what I'll do here is I'll kind of put some of the things you hear about Fifflaren, or some of the ways it's presented now, to you, and then I'll kind of answer like what I think of when I hear them. So okay, the first and most obvious one, let's start at the beginning, was the people who would look at Fifflaren and they'd say, Fifflaren sucks. Does he? Let me think. Does Fifflaren suck? I'm not really thinking here, I'm just kind of presenting how it's been. No, he doesn't really suck. I mean, first of all, suck in what context? First of all, I do agree you should be allowed to say someone sucks in the context of pro players. Like, it's stupid to say that the worst player who plays in like the 30th best team, we have to say he's really good because he's much better than me, or he's much better than the average player of CSGO. That's totally worthless and demeans language itself. Because if we say he's very good, then what does that make Exist? And then going up a level, what does that make Dosia? And then going up another level, what does that make Get Right and Shocks? See, we haven't got enough terms left from very good up to shocks and get right to use yet. What is this guy? Very good, and then this guy's amazing, and this guy's excellent, and this guy's superlative. People don't know enough. There's not enough general vernacular here. People wouldn't understand what makes superlative better than marvelous, makes it, because these things don't really. They're all almost synonyms. So you need to say like bad, not so bad, average, good, very good. Now then, on this scale, does Fifflaren suck? Is he like below average? Is he really bad? It's debatable. There's times I think if you looked at his overall average where, yeah, I would say he's average for top pros. But then you add in some other factors like he doesn't get all his best roles, and he does play in a team with some very good players, and he clearly has some confidence going for him, stuff like that. In fact, let's go through some of his good qualities as to why I think he doesn't suck. So, okay, even if his stats lifetime are quite bad, especially compared to Nip, who've played in so many games, and they've played in so many games where their stats are fantastic, so that means they're very good players, most of them, especially Get Right in Forest. The fact that his stats are so bad in comparison to the other four, okay, that does lean towards the fact that he sucks. But with that said, he does have certain tournaments where he's had that have been really good. They've been outliers overall for the whole of his career, but he's had tournaments where he's held it together for a whole tournament. The most famous example, sadly enough, is EMS1 Katowice, or Katowice, however you're supposed to say that. In this tournament, he actually was playing really well up until the final, and then unfortunately in the final he then had one of the worst finals I think any player's ever had in a really great team, so that kind of wasn't so great for the story here. But okay, he has whole tournaments where he does well. I have seen that happen. Crucially, I think, is the fact that he normally players who aren't that good or who are an average or just above average level for the top pros actually have confidence problems. And even worse, when they play in teams with star players, they know that guy's the star and they know to kind of like acquiesce to everything he wants, and they don't really have the confidence to say what they want or put input into things, because the star can just say, oh, shut up, what do you know, like, or, you know, like, I want to do what I want to do, like, I don't want to play that way. But the thing about Fifflaren, actually, that I'll give him a lot of credit for, is that I actually think this guy does a really good job of being his own man. He seems like he's confident. He seems like he's not intimidated by the fact that people say he sucks, or that people say, you know, all the rest of the players in your team are better than you, which they are. He's able to say, okay, I have a role and I think I'm doing my role. And especially when he was winning, to take confidence in that and go, okay, all I have to do is my role. That's enough. As long as we win, then that's enough for me. And also I can have contribution to the tactics. Like obviously just because Forrest and Get Right headshot better than me doesn't mean they know more about tactics. And actually I doubt they do. So let's go into that aspect. Fifflaren, from his periods as an in-game leader, like I said, he was doing well. And I thought Nip, they weren't the same type of Nip, but they had their own structure and they were still a very good team. So I think he has merit as a tactical thinker about the game. I think that's certainly the case. And in terms of fragging, okay, his stats are bad in the context of Nip, and I do think you could replace him with people who would frag better than him in Nip, and maybe the team would even be better. I can't necessarily name you one that I know that would be the case for, because we've never seen it happen yet. But here's the thing, to go the other way, I think if you put Fifflaren on a second or third best Swedish team, and you gave him some decent roles and some decent spots, I think he'd probably mildly surprise critics in terms of fragging. He wouldn't be amazing and, oh, he'd carry and all that. That wouldn't happen. But I think he could be a decent fragger. Like, I think if you put him on one of those teams, he could be around the kind of fragging output you'd think of like Schneider. I'm thinking that sort of level, where he's not going to be amazing and blow the world away. Now listen, Schneider's a much more skilled player, has much better aim, but the difference is Schneider never always able to convert that into massive amounts of frags every game. He just stayed around the middle. I think that's where you could actually see Fifflaren be. Another thing people say about Fifflaren, they go the other way. So you have all those people who just think he sucks, and then you have the people, unfortunately, I feel like it's a counter circle jerk, to use Reddit terminology, where because those people, the masses, kind of a lot of ignorant people, quite frankly, they don't articulate as well as I did as to why he's just an average player. When they say he sucks, because they're so simplistic, a lot of people are simplistic the other way and they go, ah, nah, see, you just don't understand the secret things, the roles in the game. You don't see the subtleties like I do. You know, you're not a connoisseur of the game. You're not an intellectual thinker about it. What you can't see what, oh, don't you see what he's doing? Oh, I saw something brilliant he did there. He's actually really good. I think actually in his own way he's as good as Get Right in Forest. He's kind of a carry in a different sense. He's a support carry. That is a ridiculous notion. That is totally ignorant, first of all, of role. That kind of person's priding themselves on understanding the role of the game. He doesn't at all. Within his role, Fifflaren's not like the god tier support who does everything amazing as a support. In fact, in the article, I give examples of other historical support players who were amazing just as support players, and in their own senses were able to carry in that sense. Fifflaren doesn't really do that. He's a good support player. I'd say he's above average as a support player. I think he does that role pretty well. but he's definitely not carrying in that sense. I think when Nip win, he's serviceable, as in he does enough of what he needs to do. He does just enough. They win. It's fine. Overall, he's not going mad. He's not doing totally amazing or anything. You go beyond that and you think to yourself, okay, what about that statement in terms of his skill set? Again, here's the problem. People will say, in fact, I'll give you kind of the quote that I always hear. They'll say, actually, Fifflaren's really good. And you know what? He can top the scoreboard just like any of them can. That's ridiculous. Fifflaren does not have the skill set of any of the other players on his team. He doesn't have like the mad spray of Get Right and Freeberg. He doesn't have the pixel perfect aim of Forrest. He doesn't have the all-around skill set of Exist. Really explosive, really streaky player, good at medium ranges. Compared to all of them, Fifflaren's quite a significantly weaker player in terms of raw skill set. Now he's able to apply that skill set a lot. He reminds me in basketball of the guys who've got the old man game. They know how to make it work and get the game close compared to the guy who's actually a lot more physically talented with him. He does have that going for him. Whereas, for example, someone like Forrest doesn't have that. He kind of goes off his skill a lot. So, okay, he can close the gap a little bit. But let's not be ignorant. Skill set wise, he's not on the level of any of those players. Here's crucially why I've made those 2 points about role and skill set. Because when you make a comment like that, like, oh, he can top the scoreboard just like any of those others. No. Very, very occasionally, he tops the scoreboard. Get Right and Forrest top the scoreboard nigh on every game. Maybe like 2 out of 3 games. I don't even know what the stat would be. Maybe Freeberg and Exist. They maybe get up there, let's say, 1 out of 4 games. I don't know what the stat would be. If that's the case, then I'd say Fifflaren would be top of the scoreboard. I would guess 1 out of 7 games. 1 out of 9 games, 1 out of 10 games. These sound like reasonable figures to me. In fact, the 1 out of 7 might even be on the high end. That's because of his role, his skill set, and who he's playing with. It wouldn't make, if he's topping the scoreboard a lot, there's probably something wrong in NIP. Let me put it that way. The reason why it's important to make that point is because it's actually disrespectful. If you want to give props to Fifflaren for playing a supportive role, and he does do some of those aspects well, and that is a sacrificing role. Okay, you give him props for that. Then don't steal credit extra away from the carries. People like Get Right who have to win incredible 1v4s in games just to keep Nip in the game sometimes, or who have to blow out 30, 35 frags in a game sometimes to give Nip a win, where if they'd have just got 25, which would look really good on the scoreboard, Nip might lose to some better team who have more skilled players or have someone on fire. Don't be disrespectful and steal credit to give credit to the person you want it to. Just like people shouldn't steal the credit that he deserves, don't steal credit from other players and give it to them. There's only a limited amount of credit that can go around based on the success. The person who's the goal scorer and scores 30 goals a season in football shouldn't have some of his credit stolen for carrying the team and giving to a defender who's good but just plays his role only and isn't a world-class defender. That's unfair. So, okay, I feel like that general topic is kind of the circle jerk. Well, the thing is, even if you compare him to the other players, they always bundle in there. So the 2 most obvious ones to me are Existence and Fetish. Because again, both have been in-game leaders. They actually are in-game leaders now, but Fifflaren was in the past. And crucially, people always said they sucked in their teams. The difference is, Existence can be a much better fragger than Fifflaren can. And actually, I think if you took the role completely away from him of in-game leader, I don't think he'd be that good. I can't actually see reason to possibly move him from Titan. But he can be pretty good. I think he can be better than Fifflaren, for sure. Just at the pure fragging alone. And Fetish, actually, he has real old man game. Like, he's one of the few people where people are... Same thing, you know, people say Fifflaren's, oh, he's a good hopper. He's okay. He knows how to use it. That's the key thing. He doesn't take ridiculous shots. Fetish is like that taken to the extreme. He probably shouldn't even op. Like, I've seen rounds where Device had a cult and he had the op, and I'm like, just give the op to Device. He's a much better opper. But the difference is, I know why Fetish does it, because tactically he uses it for specific positions. And not only that, he is a guy who takes the shots that he should. He doesn't go beyond his skill set. Okay, couple more things. People will say, oh, well, Fifflaren does some sort of, special role, and he plays this special thing, and that allows the best players to do that. Okay, don't give me vague shit, okay? I think of myself an analyst. What is he doing? Just tell me the things he's doing. Mark them down, write them down, give me examples, give me screenshots, give me videos, compare him to other players and see, look what he does here, look what that guy, look, he couldn't do that, this guy couldn't do that, but Fifflaren's able to do this, and look, the way he did that, set this player up like this. No one ever does that. They just make it a simplistic thing of like a vague thing of like, oh, I guess he does something special. Now then, here's another one. If you remove Fifflaren, he has a special friendship with Nip, a special chemistry. That is absolutely true. There's clearly some special chemistry there, and that's actually one of the best reasons. I think that's the one, if you're a Fifflaren fan, you should lean on that one very heavily. Don't lean on some fake thing of overblowing his skill set and his role, and if he was the fragger, he'd be top frag. No, none of that stuff. Lean on this, because that's the best reason for Fifflaren to stay in NIP, is the fact that they have some special bond and chemistry. Crucially, chemistry. I don't give a fuck if they're friends. That might help them, whatever. But crucially, it's the chemistry in game and the way they play off each other. That's what allows them to do those incredible retakes, to know where the right player has to be to fulfill his role, to be able to come back in big games, to be able to blow people out when they're ahead. That's always been what's been special to me. The mix, not just the players and the skill sets. The problem with that is that will only last in two areas in terms of how it works in game and as friends, as long as they're winning. Now remember this, the two eras of NIP before, there was the one where they're winning everything, right? Well, it's easy to be friends and easy to have chemistry there because you're winning everything, so it's working. Now then, even the period where they weren't winning stuff, you remember when they were losing to the Very Games guys a bunch of events? Only one of those events did finish outside the top two. Then when they lost to Fnatic or DreamHack Winter, they had that spur where when they weren't winning, they were just placing second all the time. Now in this period, you're not winning, but you know you definitely could win because you're always reaching finals and against different opponents. So you know you're the only connecting factor there, and if you just tweak some things, you will win. So in those two areas, right up until this sort of summer now, I can totally get why again you wouldn't remove him, because the risk of dropping below that when you might only need a little tweak to be the best again, it's not worth it. But here's the problem. We're now getting into the territory where this win was just about enough to keep it from being a really disastrous period for NIP, where actually maybe you could no longer say that the special chemistry was enough. At that point, it actually probably would be worth gambling, depending on how the next, say, one or two events go, on trying someone new, doing a Fnatic, seeing that the results are going down, right? Eventually, you have to take a gamble. You have to remove someone and bring in someone you think can replace them or do something better or shift everyone's roles around. That's another thing. The other players are playing well enough. Overall, they had a bad ESL rather, that actually you probably don't want to shift the roles of the other players. So that again, that would force him just by default to be the man you'd have to replace as the most replaceable player. So okay, I've given you kind of an overview. This was quite different to the article. I only vaguely referenced some of the things in the article. The column rather. The column is mainly more about talking about the question of, is it okay to criticize Fifflaren? And then actually trying to look historically, is there a context to criticize him in? Are there conceptual macro concepts to, like strategically in terms of how you set a team up to criticize him? And then how do we actually criticize him? Real criticism. And I've kind of addressed all this. And listen, I actually like Fifflaren as a guy. Seems like a very nice guy. Seems like a knowledgeable guy. Seems like quite a reasonable guy overall. So I don't do this article out of any kind of spite or ill will to the guy. In fact, if you actually get through the article, you see that I don't necessarily say that you even do have to. That's a conclusion that you do have to remove him. But I thought it's a topic worth bringing up because people are so clear-cut either way. Whereas to me, the key thing is right at this moment in time, this context of CSGO, it isn't clear-cut at all. And that's why I wanted to kind of unpack the idea. So check out the article. It's in the description box below if you want to read it. The Fifflaren question. Let's answer the Fifflaren question. And obviously, to some degree, I answer it with more questions, some answers. But the best questions like that, there's a famous saying that goes something like, wise men debate cases, fools answer them. So I'll just leave you on that note there.